All right, welcome back to episode 2, where in this episode, we're going to talk about what you should and should not do if you ever reach the pinnacle of your career and you become the chief legal counsel for a professional basketball team. Now, if you are in litigation or there's an investigation with the Attorney General's office or the EEOC, and the Attorney General's office gives you a witness list, one thing as an attorney that you should know not to do is tamper with the witnesses. But again, Miss Melissa did all of those things. Matter of fact, there was two witnesses in particular where after they received my witness list. Now, before I go into that a little bit more, I will say this. One thing that I thought was very curious when my case was going through the Attorney General's office is the couple of things that I submitted to the Attorney General's office, it went right to the Phoenix Suns. They got everything that I turned in prior to my deposition. But if they turned in anything to the Attorney General's office, I couldn't get access to it unless I signed an NDA. I had to sign a non disclosure agreement to get the information that this basketball team was sharing with the Attorney General's office in an investigation that pertained to me. I wonder why that is. Could it be because they were lying and they didn't want me to talk about it? Which I wouldn't have been able to had I signed that non-disclosure agreement, which I did not, because I was like, absolutely not. So I really didn't even find out most of the lies that they made up about me until I was deposed by the Attorney General's office. Prior to that, prior to me being deposed by the Attorney General's office, the only thing that I knew is that my former boss, Miss Kimberly, said that she just wasn't satisfied with my work. And now here we are, 8, 9, 10 excuses later, and they still don't have a defense for trial. Hmm, that's crazy. But let's get back to Miss Melissa. So I'll just talk about one specific person. Her and I were friends. We worked together. And while we were there, people would always confuse the two of us because we're both tall and black, I guess. So we look the same. So people would always confuse the two of us. And so once Miss Melissa had her hands on my witness list, which is basically the list of people that the Attorney General's office should have investigated and deposed, um, she started approaching people on my witness list. One person in particular, that was my twin, she approached her and asked, both her and Miss Kimberly approached this person asking, how do you know Andrea? We didn't know that you knew Andrea. We didn't know you were friends with her. What are you going to say? And they approached her a couple of times. And one time they even told her to tell me that they would prefer to do mediation. And this was before I retained an attorney. And they told her that they would rather pay me than have to pay attorneys if I were to get attorneys involved. Again, if you are the chief legal counsel for a professional basketball team, that's called witness tampering. And why on earth would you go to someone on a witness list and tell them to tell me that they would rather directly give me money than have to get attorneys involved and pay attorneys? So again, that's what I mean. The more I meet people that are in high level roles, while I have meet people that are wonderful and they are well versed and have incredible careers, in the places where it's just a good old boys club, you will see time and time again how so many people are not qualified to be in their roles, or they're so used to doing dirty, despicable things that they forget themselves and lose themselves, and they tamper with witnesses blatantly in the open, even calling people to try to intimidate them to not say anything and to let them know, we know you're on the witness list. And all I could say is there were a lot of people on that witness list that felt like they were going to lose their jobs if they said anything. And I think the Attorney General's office should be ashamed of themselves for continuing to allow this basketball team to do that type of despicable stuff. So, if you ever go to law school and you become the chief legal counsel for a professional basketball team, mitigate risk and damages. And don't do sloppy shit like this that could just get people into further trouble as the legal processes continue to play out. Mm-mm-mm.